Welcome back, everyone, to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Without Ermanni, Edwards, and Maz, they are on holiday, but we appreciate you tapping in live on woodwardsports.com, and there's Maz holding it down. Looks a lot thinner. But live on woodwardsports.com and fox2.com, we just got done talking about going over Michigan's catastrophic meltdown.
Yeah.
And I can see Flannel Sam is still hurting. So let's bring those spirits up and let's talk about something great. What the Detroit Lions did to the Chicago Bears on Saturday. The Lions went out there and absolutely dominated the Chicago Bears, winning at home 41-10. All facets of the game, complete and utter domination. And this is something we've seen from the Lions quite a few times in this stretch of games. You could say against Jacksonville,
yes,
they had a dominating performance. Against the Giants, they had a dominating performance. Against Minnesota, they had a dominating performance. And now again, against the Chicago Bears, they had a dominating performance. Let me spot out some of these numbers, Sam. The Lions, 26 first downs. The Bears, 9 first downs. The Lions had 0 turnovers. The Bears coughed it up twice. Jared Goff went for 21 of 29, only 8 incomplete passes, 255 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jamal Williams, 22 carries for 144 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 11 carries for 78 yards, 4 catches for 39 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What did this mean for the Lions to go out there, bounce back from that ugly performance in Carolina, and absolutely throttle the Bears in Ford Field?
Lions fans!
Lions fans!
Those type of numbers are going to make me cry tears of joy. It's just so beautiful after crying tears of sadness on Saturday night. But yeah, that was coming off of the way that they had lost at Carolina, where that was sort of a gut check kind of game. How will they respond? They gave up Carolina's franchise record for rushing yards in a game.
Yes, they did.
They looked like they might have blown their chances at the playoffs. And I said before the game, the one thing that they can do to just shed all doubt is to just beat the Bears like they stole something. Go out and leave no doubt early on. And that's exactly what they did. All those numbers are beautiful. It was a total incomplete and utter domination. And to kind of laugh at the Bears really quick, did you know that they rushed for 200 yards as a team and lost by 31?
Yikes.
Because they can't throw the football. Justin Fields, 7 of 21, 75 yards, sacked 7 times. The running game got it going. The passing game just looked like a well-oiled machine. The defense, which played their worst game of the season, or maybe that or Seattle, but probably Carolina, came back with a vengeance.
Bounced back in a big way.
It was a beautiful game. It was the type of game that the Lions needed. It's the game that further reinforces that this is a different team. It was from minute 1 to minute 60. The coaches made adjustments. The players made plays. It was beautiful, and it was Brad Holmes' guys. It was the draft picks. It was the free agents. It was just so beautiful to watch.
It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun. Like you said, complete dominance in all facets of the game. The adjustments were very impressive. You saw in the first quarter, I believe, or the first half, Justin Fields had over 100 rushing yards in the first quarter, finishes the game with 132.
And that's the only way that the Bears could win, is if Justin Fields ran it all over him. And technically, by the numbers he did, the Bears did.
Yes.
But they still lost by 31.
They still lost by 31. It was impressive to see them, like you said, make adjustments mid-game, make adjustments mid-quarter, and have things work for them, do different things, put people in different places, watching the offense play as well as it has, and watching Jameson Williams get himself an open field touch on a reverse that he took 40 yards. Could have been 60 and a touchdown if he would have cut inside, but we're not gonna harm him for that. We're not gonna harsh him for that. He did his job and he was explosive at it. What does this mean going forward? Looking into Lambeau, can they replicate a performance like this? Can they do the same thing, or at least try to do the same thing against the Green Bay Packers in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field?
Well, I don't think, obviously, that they can replicate a performance like this, because the Lions' offense, while being elite, while having all those weapons, while having Ben Johnson as their coordinator, they were playing at home against the worst defense in the NFL. They're going at Lambeau, a place that has historically been a house of horrors for them, playing a team that has everything on the line, and playing a team with a lot of great defensive personnel. You saw what they did to Minnesota. But what it does give them is it gives them a chance. It gives them an opportunity to go into Green Bay and at the very least spoil their season. And if Seattle helps helps the Lions out make the playoffs. And it gives me confidence that they can go in and win. They established the run. Their offense looked like a well-oiled machine. And their defense, whereas, at points in the season and maybe last week, I'd be worried about them getting some stops, worried about Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon running all over them. I'm thinking this is a team that can hold the Aaron Rodgers-led Packers to between 17 and 24.
Yeah.
And at that point, you have a shot. They might be able to force a couple of turnovers, and that's what you need to do.
They did in the first game.
Yes, that's what you need to do in order to win games on the road. So having a beatdown like that at the expense of the Chicago Bears, of course it gives me confidence. It makes me think that this is a team that is actually good. That 6-1 run wasn't a fugazi. It was more. They're more like that 6-1 team than they were the 1-6 team. And to me, I'm feeling pretty good going into Green Bay.
I am too. Even though Green Bay's defense looked pretty damn good against Minnesota.
Yeah.
JB, what does this mean for the Lions? What does this victory mean for the Lions dominating a bad team, which they should have at home?
That means they have a lot of confidence built up in them right now. And going into Green Bay, seeing the results of, this past weekend of NFL games, seeing that they still are waiting for the Seahawks to lose, this puts a lot of pressure on them right now. But I think they're up for it. I really do. I think they're going to go into the frozen tundra of Green Bay and actually come away with the win just because they have this confidence beat up. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers has been talking a lot of smack about the Lions lately, man.
He has. He's been talking a lot of crap. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's a loser. I hate Aaron Rodgers. But you look at the Lions bouncing back, and like you said, the run defense, although it couldn't hold Justin Fields in that first quarter at least, they held Khalil Herbert to 31 yards. They held David Montgomery to 24 yards. So this is something that obviously they improved on. Obviously they focused on when going into this game, because if you give up, the franchise record for rushing yards, the Carolina Panthers, it's probably something you'd want to work on. And they made adjustments and they got it done.
In the in-game adjustments, that's what was so impressive, because remember, pretty much all of the Bears' total yards in the entire game came on that first drive where they went right down and scored. I was a little worried. And then what happened next? Chicago got the ball back, and Justin Fields had that big run that led to a field goal.
That was a cool play, too.
That was a hell of a cool play.
They snapped it to Komet, and he pitched it to Justin Fields. That was a really cool play design.
Well, the one before, I think it was just Justin Fields.
Oh, yeah.
The one that set up the field goal. But, yeah, the one you were talking about was great, too. And it was important, too, that they caught Justin Fields from behind and didn't let him score a touchdown.
That's for sure.
But then right after that, the Bears' offense was pathetically stagnant. And if you hold a team to 10 points, if you make them stagnant after that, you're going to win in the NFL 99.9% of the time.
Definitely. That's what you need to do. That's what you need, especially when you're looking at an explosive athlete and a guy like Justin Fields that takes the snaps. Is you have to get in his head. You have to make him make different reads, because he still is early in his career. There are still things that he needs to work on, but he's going to be dangerous if he gets his passing game down a little bit. If he improves, obviously the receiving core is way down. Darnell Mooney is their best receiver. He's on the IR.
Yeah.
They have other guys missing that they're looking towards, but still 75 yards, there's no excuse.
There's no excuse for that whatsoever, and it just kind of shows how limited the Bears' passing offense is. And if you had to make Justin Fields rely on throwing the football, that you have a pretty good chance at winning. I mean, a 33.3% completion percentage, under 100 yards. And I understand it's not all his fault. I feel like the play design, it looks to me like a lot of times just Justin Fields go back there and make a play.
Yeah.
They don't have any receivers. I mean, Chase Claypool's their number one. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown's much less talented brother, Equanimous.
Dante Pettis, cast off from the 49ers.
N'Keal Harry. Byron Pringle. Oh, my goodness.
Just everybody's worst receiver from like 3 years ago are all on the Bears now.
And that doesn't give Justin Fields any help, and I understand that. But, at this point, it's not our problem. Make Justin Fields beat us with his arm. He obviously could not. It was a pathetic performance by their passing offense, but it shows a lot, too, how they were able to get pressure on him. The secondary, after they benched Jeff Okudah, it played great.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about Jeff Okudah being benched? Like, it's not like he was not making plays against the Bears. He wasn't getting burnt or anything. Obviously, nobody was getting burnt. He only threw for 75 yards, but that's the second week in a row Jeff Okudah has been benched. Is there something about that? Is there something more into that?
There has to be something more to it, because that's 2 weeks in a row getting benched. And you saw how he played against Carolina. He was one of the highlighted terrible players.
Yes.
And after he went
the
out,
whole defense was pretty bad.
Right. It was a terrible team performance, but I mean, it is alarming because Jeff Okudah, he was that guy at the beginning of the season that you're sort of like, hey, he's figured it out. He might be that cornerback who can at least start for them long term, and being benched for 2 weeks in a row and not missing him at all in this last game gives me some cause for pause, as I like to say.
JB, are you worried about Jeff Okudah's benching? Do you think that's something more in depth? Do you think there's more to it than what Lions fans are seeing on paper?
I don't think so. I think it might just be a precautionary matter. Maybe he's still a little banged up. Maybe they just don't want to, have any other further injuries happen or take effect to him. I don't think he's fallen out with any of the coaching staff at all. So it's just kind of weird seeing him just, as you said, taken out of this game when I thought he was doing pretty well. So it's really a mystery, man.
It is a mystery. It's weird. I'd love to see some clarity on that. Maybe we'll see some in some interviews, because you got to think they're gonna reporters are gonna ask Aaron Glenn about that.
Of course.
So we'll see how he responds to that.